wrong, everything, all that's wonderful, but somehow the only non-commentary or closest we can get to is what is expansive and linear. Because this is actually commentary. You see what I'm saying? Because it automatically brings us into a place that has one kind of focus to it that's specifically human. And that's why I could love it, and definitely love it choreographically, that you do something that you can be here and that that can be really felt. But the reason I love that so much is because this is actually commenting off of that. You see? And this is what we don't walk around all day doing, yeah? Because we communicate as humans the other way. So you say, how are you? And the person says, oh, I'm okay. You see that? I'm okay? Yeah? That's how I understand how they really feel. And even more importantly, when they say, oh, I'm doing really good. And you're like, well, you don't look like you're doing really good, right? Because my eye picked up this gesture, this posture, this way of moving, and suddenly I'm thinking, disconnect from what you have said to me to what you are doing with your body, right? That whole experience, we have it all the time. This is all we ever have, yeah? And I always think nervous energy is really interesting. You know, the first date energy. And she really likes him, let's say, and she's not sure if he's into her or whatever, you know? And there's always that thing, and she wants to play it cool. That's the worst, by the way. As soon as you try to play it cool, it's all wrong, right? No. But it's a great analogy to think of because, you know, then it's all there in the gesture. It's all there. Yeah, I mean, right, exactly. Because it's so difficult to confine communication. And what I want to try to do is allow us more and more to connect to the greater, stronger lines. Oh yeah. To connect to the greater, stronger lines that we're able to really have all of our center energy line, A and B, to have that be the real understanding of clarity from which we're going to work spatially, yeah, and also our greater experience to a non-narrative commentary, yeah, our greatest experience of something that instead of saying, oh, that doesn't mean anything, no, that means exactly what it is without any other context to it. So the best example I can give of that is full expansion through centerline energy is not standing up straight in any classical sense of what we know that to be. Definitely not what my grandmother used to tell me to do, for sure. It is definitely not ever pull your shoulders back and stand up straight. That's all gesture, which has its value. Especially if you get whacked in the back of the head, stand straight. Yeah, it has its value, but it's not this that we're working on. And the more that we connect to those things and bless each of those things, nothing is about the wrong and the right. It's about exploration. As soon as we get into wrong and right, as soon as we get into I know, you don't, as soon as I get into my work is greater than, as soon as we do that to ourselves, we cut off exploration, yeah? And it's like, that's it. It's like the same, and that's a negative thing, in my opinion, because the same person then that maybe discovered certain things that were not considered about truth as we know that in this world, as soon as they cut themselves off, well then they ended up doing the same thing everyone else did. Like let's say, we know the world is flat, we know the world is flat, everybody's crazy who thinks the world is round. Suddenly we found out the world is round. Now what if the same people that believe the world is round say, well the world is round? And then someone else comes along and says, but what if it's triangular? And if those same people that say the world is now round, they say, but we have proof. Well now they just became what the flat people were. They just cut themselves off, which is fine, but as soon as you do that completely to yourself, you've just decided that you will go no further. Yeah, that's what, I mean, it's not, you know, it is definitely about possibilities. You made a decision. Right, so maybe the earth is, you know, it is definitely so many things. And the way we perceive space, that's totally true. And space, not just, now I'm not just talking about like on the dance space, I'm just talking about choreography, I'm talking about this work. Yeah? The way we're going to actually use the centerline energy and the way we're going to work through this beginning cross point of A and B, of centerline A and centerline B, and how we're going to be a important part of something larger by being there, and redirect our energy, and then choose to use the radiant lines as we're going to allow that energy and explore that energy radiating from center but connected to the larger, the more that we do that, the stronger decisions we can make as creative people, not just creative artists. And the more we understand that energetically we are important, but we're connected to something that is so wonderfully, beautifully large that the word large doesn't really describe it, yeah, because that's this thing that we made up as people to talk about something that's really big, yeah? It just is, and it is so there. And you cannot find these things if you're not proactive about it. That's the closest human word I can come up with for it, yeah? It's like, you know, this whole process is definitely not about just sitting there and being. That's like when someone goes and decides that meditation is the same as sleep. Meditation is the exact opposite of sleep. I'm using that as another thing that could apply directly to this technique, which is that, and I definitely right away when I'm teaching it, I look for the people that automatically go from the extended, hyper-extended gestures that they don't maybe know they're doing and that they're not aware of, and the immediate opposite when I begin to share this is to then completely relax all the time and constantly. Well, that's as much gesture as the other is, and they should both be blessed, but it has nothing to do with connection to greater centerline energy. Yeah, it's clear, that? So let me ask you, and you don't have to phone this on, because I want to ask questions from the dancers.